Second 2020 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based world-leading diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. Today's Digital Career Success Series is titled, Rock Your Profile. And yes, we're talking about your LinkedIn profile. Stay with me. Online studies report that LinkedIn currently has over 660 million members. 92% of Fortune 500 companies use LinkedIn. 45% of LinkedIn users earn $75,000 per year, and over 77% of all recruiters are on LinkedIn. Now, this is the one I really like. 90 million senior level influencers and 63 million decision makers use LinkedIn as well. Now, I always share with my career coaching clients that the quickest way to career success is to hang out where the influencers are and the decision makers are. And today we have two of them here on the Urban League Jobs Network platform. Mr. Romero Nelson, and I'm probably going to call him Ro, and Amber Mercado of LinkedIn join us. Welcome to the show, Amber and Romero.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ken.
Thanks, Ken. Happy to be here.
Man, we're happy to have you. So here's the thing. And, of course, the Digital Career Success Series, we provide a platform that's very active and very interactive. So I know we're going to receive questions throughout the actual show. And I encourage our listeners to just start chiming in, putting your questions in the Q&A, and we'll try to navigate our way through them. But listen, I want to speak about something that tends to come up as soon as you start speaking about LinkedIn. And really, it's the question of, why is LinkedIn important now? And how can you feel comfortable showing up as your authentic self on the platform? Amber, you want to jump in for us real quick? You want to start us off today?
Yes, I've got sirens going off in the background, so I apologize. Hopefully they'll stop soon. But why is it especially important now? It's really the connector, right? So the way that companies, people, the way that companies hire, and especially the way we do things has changed significantly year over year. If I think back to 12 years ago when I started, meeting people at a conference or moving on from that and losing business cards and then never touching base with these people again and losing that network was a thing, right? That was the norm. And now it's definitely changed to that. To give you an example, right before I came on this call, I got a message from a woman named Faith, and she is also bald like me and had sent me a message to kind of touch on one of the stories that I shared on my profile about a couple of weeks ago, and was telling me how much it resonated with her. And I had a hair wrap on, a very nice purple hair wrap, and seeing her and hearing her story and just reading her story empowered me enough to say, you know what, I'm going to take the hair wrap off and I'm just going to come with my true authentic self today. And if nothing else, the people that you're meeting and are able to connect with on LinkedIn is enormous and kind of powerful, right? It just to kind of put it out there. Ro, if you've got other stuff.
So hold on. So that was a non-traditional start to the show because I thought it was really important to start there, but also is equally important. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your role at LinkedIn.
Sure. So I started at LinkedIn 12 years ago. I just celebrated my 12-year anniversary. They took a chance on me. Thank you. They took a chance on me with the non-traditional background. And 12 years later, I'm now a global learning business partner here at LinkedIn. So what that means is I had a love for training that I recognized many years ago. LinkedIn gave me the opportunity to kind of touch on that, and through several different careers and opportunities. I also graduated in 2016 with my bachelor's. The company kind of pushed me to want to do more. I now get to do what I love. And I do a lot of Rock Your Profile kind of all over. Obviously pre-COVID, it was a lot more in person with different universities and businesses and things like that. So talking about brand and the importance of LinkedIn and how to bring your authentic self. So that's a little bit of me professionally. On the personal side, I'm more active on my community front. There's been a lot of things happening outside, so I've been more involved in the community with helping out some of the underserved communities out here in Omaha.
Excellent, exceptional. Mr. Nelson, we're going to bring you into the show, my friend. If you don't mind, I'm going to circle back on the original question. But first, let our listeners know a little bit about Romero Nelson and your role at LinkedIn, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And hello to Facebook as well as LinkedIn and anyone else that's chiming in from wherever you are. Again, Romero Nelson, I've been with LinkedIn a little over 5 years. I am currently in the role of a senior planning resource optimization analyst, which is essentially a great opportunity to help scale our customer support businesses and work with our finance team to kind of optimize the staff and really take advantage of the opportunity to grow additional support to ensure that we've got a high level of customer engagement as well as overall five diamond customer experience as being delivered to our members and customers alike. Yeah, that's me and my work in a nutshell. Just to add to that, I am also a member of the board of directors here at the Urban League of Nebraska, which I've been serving in role for the past year. Great group of folks out there. So I know a few of you guys are here listening in. So shout out to you all at the Urban League of Nebraska. With that, I do have an unpaid job here at LinkedIn, and that is a social impact lead where me and about 20 other people within our office go out into the community. We do volunteer work, primarily working with underserved communities as well as job seekers to help expose them to the LinkedIn platform, get them comfortable with using the product and the services and some of the free features available to them to help them grow and advance their careers.
You know what, that's exceptional. And I really appreciate you kind of taking us down this direction, right? So you spoke about social impact. And I want to go back to the question that I asked Amber, actually. Why is LinkedIn important now? We're talking about a pandemic. We're talking about a lot of social initiatives that are taking place in the world, but specifically here in America. Why is LinkedIn so important right now?
Yeah, what other platform can you connect with professionals just about anywhere from absolutely nowhere? Excuse me. You take this opportunity right now, for example. You got two folks from the middle of Nebraska talking to folks across the globe, right? Imagine that. That's what LinkedIn creates an opportunity for us to do. We're in this semi-quarantine phase of 2020. We've got social distancing. We've got remote work on the rise. We've got folks who've been displaced. We've got folks who are taking advantage of the opportunity to find a new path or reinvent themselves, rebrand even. So, you look to LinkedIn to help shape some of that and connect with people that you may never have had the opportunity to engage with.
Yeah, engagement is the key. Amber, I want to speak about this a little. So, Ro spoke about kind of how people engage, and he's on, you guys are, I guess, in the middle of the country, and you can engage with people all over the world. But how do you really give your authentic brand and voice across the LinkedIn platform? I know a lot of people immediately think, you know what, I'm not looking for a job, or I'm not going to use LinkedIn to find my job. But really, sometimes it's kind of about sharing content and your voice and your brand. Can you kind of take a deeper dive into that for me?
Absolutely. It really starts, this is probably one of my favorite things to talk about when I talk to people about LinkedIn. And kind of, I hear the age old, well, I'm not looking for a job, so I'm not going to be on there.
Right.
The first is understanding and truly getting that it is not a resume. It is very much your brand that you're putting out there. And I usually give the tip, and I can't even take credit for this, somebody else gave it to me, that when you go on LinkedIn, before you can do anything or be successful, it really starts with your profile. And so what that means is, if you're kind of stuck as to where to start, and you kind of have to ask yourself, what is my brand? What is my goal here? Who am I trying to reach out to? Sit down and write down 4 or 5 words that if someone were to ask, tell me 4 words about Amber. These are the 4 words that you would want them to say, right? Jot them down, put them on a list somewhere, and then refer back to those as you go through every component of the profile that really kind of starts speaking that. So a case in point is, I'm very much happy in my career right now. I love my job. I love working at LinkedIn. I'm in the training role I wanted to be in. I'm not actively looking, right? But I also want to kind of position myself as an expert on LinkedIn in terms of training or things that are related to LinkedIn. So if you read through my profile, each component of my profile kind of goes with that, but it brings my authentic brand, things from like my personal side to something as simple as a banner photo or the cover image that is a sunset, because I often go and I chase sunsets, to my headline that talks about how I teach and I train and I hug people from a distance now, right? It's not a thing anymore, but that used to be my tagline and my motto, that when you look at my profile, you know exactly what you're going to get. But the most important part to that is being able to speak in your authentic voice. It's not the resume speak. It's not any words that you wouldn't normally use, right? It's a conversational tone that if you look at my profile and you read through my profile and then you reach out and say, hey, I've got some questions about training, would you be able to help? And then you speak to me, it's the same Amber on both sides, right? It's not like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. But also as a speaker, I recognize that if somebody asks me to speak, and this has happened before, I have to make sure that I show my authentic self as to who's going to walk into that door when they come and speak. I'm covered in tattoos. I have piercings, obviously. I no longer have hair. This is my brand. This is what you're getting when I walk in the door to do speaking stuff.
Great. Ro, so, there's going to be that particular brand that's kind of front facing, but on LinkedIn, there are a lot of different vehicles that allow you to kind of move your brand across the platform. Can you make any suggestions on ways that people can leverage LinkedIn to really kind of push their brand and kind of push their voice?
Yeah, Amber touched on a lot of this. It does start with the bare basics, you having your profile in check. And just for those of you who may be struggling today with your profile, just know that even the experts on LinkedIn still haven't nailed it. I have yet to see the perfect profile. It's a living and breathing document. Treat it that way. But in terms of you really leveraging the platform and getting a little bit more out of it, there's so many ways that I could take this answer. But I'll start with a couple. You got this. You got the bare basics. You got your profile, and at least to a point where you can accept where it is and recognize that you got some opportunity to continue to grow. Your next piece would be an extension of your profile, which is how you show up, your passion, your expertise. You talk specifically to your topic, your subject matter expertise, and you tend to grow and build on that. It can be as simple as a post. It could be a little bit more involved where you're writing out a long form publication. Maybe it's a couple of paragraphs, maybe it's several pages. You post that to the network about a particular topic that interests you, that you might think is interesting to others. You move from there. The other piece is the engagement, this reciprocity, this piece that reciprocates throughout the network, where you see a post that's interesting to you, not only like it, but respond to it. Hey, that was super helpful. Or by the way, that's touched me in a certain way. Or, I dealt with this very same issue, or I overcame this obstacle, or here's what I did to kind of work through the process. That engagement is really what helps to kind of set your profile, your brand, and the rest of your activity on fire. So those are some key takeaways that you can use to kind of propel a little bit of your brand presence, so to speak. But like I said, there are a number of ways that we could answer that question.
Great. So you're building your brand and you're kind of working in your niche space, right? But Amber, I would imagine that, the goal on most social platforms is not only to engage, but also to build your network, right? Do you have any best practices around how people can kind of 10x and build their network of professionals on the LinkedIn platform?
I would say, as with anything else on LinkedIn, I think as humans, we tend to overcomplicate things. I know I do it every day. And so it's really just remembering and starting off with connecting with those people that you do know, right? Leverage the network that you do currently have, the people that you work with, former bosses, people that you've potentially worked with in any sort of capacity, even gone to school with, whatever the case may be, and start there. People who can actually speak to the expertise and what it is that you bring to the table, and then start branching out from then, right? That's where this whole network starts building. And if Ro knows somebody that I potentially want to talk to or get my foot in the door at a company, I'm going to leverage that connection that Ro and I have to be like, hey, you know me, you think I'm cool, and I'm pretty rad at what I do. Can you kind of open that door for me, right? And it's okay to reach out to people that you don't know. The catch here is that you want to make sure that you're personalizing your invitations, right? Like, there is very much the what's in it for me when you're reaching out to somebody that you don't know on LinkedIn. And so it's a matter of telling them, hey, here's why I think it'd be valuable for us to connect. Here's how you can help me and I can help you in return, right? You know, going back to what Rose said, it's kind of a two-way street too. Or maybe it's just a matter of, maybe right now we can start a dialogue and have a conversation and then build from there to start that network. But it's not just in sending out invitations to connect, it's joining groups with people that are like-minded, right? People who share some of the same interests and skill sets that you have. For me, it'd be, you know, I've joined a couple groups for trading. You know, can you give me some tips on facilitation? I've built some really good, strong relationships from some of those groups because now people are starting to know my name and that gets out, right? And it just continues to spread from there.
Wow, you know what? You took me where we needed to go because
You're
Ro,
welcome.
because you kind of jumped on the fringe of the groups, right? Speaking about how to interact. So Ro, we have a question from one of the loyal Digital Career Success Series faithful, Laura. She wants to know, as a business owner who is not hiring, how does LinkedIn help her?
Oh, that's a great question, Laura. You don't have to be hiring to see the advantage or take part in the benefit that LinkedIn provides you. You know, what is your business about? You know, things like that. You know, what type of service or products are you providing? Stay engaged with your customer or potential customers. Maybe you're gearing up for a growth plan. You know, so work through a plan, curate some compelling content, start to engage and nurture your audience, and then look to measure and optimize based on what you're seeing in the data. And we do provide analytics that will be extremely useful to you to help you kind of fine tune what type of companies are the people who are engaging in my posts or publications coming from. Like, where do they work? What type of roles do they have? Are they decision makers? Are they are they spenders? Are they potential employees in the future? Like, these are all types of things that you should be taking into consideration when you're looking at LinkedIn for what type of benefit it can be to you. You do have to put in a little bit of work, though, and I'm sure you're well aware of that as a business owner. But you know, LinkedIn was designed and evolves with people like you in mind. Not only you as a business owner, you as a professional, as well as your customers, your potential clients, and your future employees. It might even help you identify a successor for your businesses.
Can I
Excellent.
add in there?
Yes.
So just to continue on with Ro, one of the biggest things is that every small business should have a company page on LinkedIn, right? It is no longer, you know about this company and they're over there. It is very much the company has a voice. This is your opportunity as a small business to engage with your audience and to really start some of those conversations, not just in being able to let them know what's going on with your company, but also engaging with people that are following your business to make sure that you're always top of mind in case something does change, right? You then have that opportunity to start reaching out because of all the people that are following your business.
Excellent. You know what, Amber, I'm going to keep you talking here because I think this is based on something you said earlier. People want to know if you have any suggestions on a headline because they said, should they put expert hugger? And I know you said you hug, right? So that's what they want to know. What should their headline be?
Sorry, I had to mute. You can, yes. I mean, if that's a part of your brand, I will read you what mine says. It's expert hugger from a distance, laughing at my own jokes, teaching and learning. It's what I do. Your headline, I would say this is probably one of the most underutilized spaces on the LinkedIn profile. It doesn't have to be your title. Think about those 4 words that we talked about initially, right? That describe you. Use those to start crafting your headline. And once again, as I said before, don't overthink it. Short and sweet and straight to the point, but also think about all of the messages, all of the invitations, or what even shows up on the search results when somebody's looking for an expert or a potential hire. They're going to see the profile photo, the name, the headline, and some general information. And so if you think about all the results that are going in there, what is setting you above all the rest of the profiles? While everybody else is putting title, 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 who are you more apt to click on? The person who has learning partner, learning partner, learning partner, or the one who says expert hugger from a distance, laughing at my own jokes, teaching and learning is what I do. It's your opportunity to get creative with some insight as to who makes up Amber, right? Who makes up me as a person in terms of my brand professionally and personally.
All
That
right,
was
great.
perfect.
You know, I see people locking in on the chat and interacting. People are sharing their LinkedIn profile. So this is what we set out to do, right? Excellent. You know, so let's just kind of work our way through the profile, right? Monique asked, how important is a picture? Some people feel the content is more important, but how important is an actual photo? Who
You want me to
wants?
take this one? I guess this is
Let's
where
do
I
it.
get to chime in, and I'm sorry to be that guy, but I'll just hit you with a couple of stats. Like, if you don't have people with the profile picture are going to have 20 times more profile reviews. Like, it is critical that you have a profile picture on your on your account. It's the invitation to you. It shows the world who you are. You have a ton of opportunity here to set the tone before I even enter your profile to review the contents of your material here. So a couple thoughts with that. Feel free to be expressive, right? Don't, long gone are the days where you have to feel like you're extremely buttoned up and overly dressed, to be quite frank, for the LinkedIn platform. Be yourself. Now, you be your professional self, of course, but you know, if you're a creative type, I would expect to see some type of creative T-shirt or maybe a little bit of art in the background. I'm just throwing some things out there at you to help you understand and ensure that you do you and be comfortable is what we're striving for. Just like the tagline that Amber so eloquently described and how you want to go about putting that out to the network. Do the same thing with your picture. If we come across a list of cookie cutter names and profiles, help us to identify you by standing out. You don't necessarily need to fit in.
Can I add to that as well?
Yeah.
It's one of those things too that if you think about all the people that you meet, right? Even me as a speaker, you know, I often go and I meet hundreds and hundreds of people, and sometimes that photo is the reason why I remember who you are, because the names, I'm not good at names, and I'd love to think that I'm the only Amber Mercado in this world. However, I very much learned that I'm not, and you know, think about the last time that you Googled yourself. Which is something that people should be doing pretty frequently. And the last time that I did it, there were some other people who had the similar names as me who had profiles out there that I would never even be putting out there. And so when it comes to what I want showcased, it is definitely LinkedIn coming up first. And I want them to know that this is the real Amber Mercado, not that they're not real, but the real me, that they're getting. This is a professional side of me.
The real Amber Mercado speaks. I like it. Ro, all right, this one is designed specifically for you. I really want you to chime in because I think that some people struggle, and in particular, Black males, were struggling in a sense on LinkedIn. And it kind of speaks to what the gentleman Nick is saying. So his question to the panel, and Amber, if you want to chime in as well, that's fine. But Ro, is it good to connect with direct teammates or people from your company? Sometimes I like to have barriers of what I'm doing outside of work versus my work brand, especially as a Black young male. Just don't want to be perceived in a way that I'm already fighting to not be perceived in corporate America.
Yeah. Well,
Loaded.
that is a great question. You know, you get to create your perception in most cases, right? And perception can be reality. For me, I don't have any boundaries in terms of how and who I connect with on LinkedIn. Like, what you see is what you get. To be perfectly honest, you're looking at a guy with a gold tooth and a lisp. So please take it from me. You need to be yourself, because when you show up to the board meeting or you show up to the interview or you reach out to the next, you know, CEO or that client that you're looking to engage with, you want them to get the authentic you, right? Be yourself. And again, I don't necessarily have boundaries when I'm connecting on LinkedIn with other colleagues and coworkers, because I like to be a part of that thought development, that thought leadership that takes place uniquely on the LinkedIn platform. And my presence there, my voice there, should hopefully continue to empower young men like the gentleman who posted the question. And we need to see a guy like him there to help empower some of these other up and coming young Black and brown folks that are kind of I guess have some trepidation about the network. This shouldn't exist. Be yourself.
Man, I appreciate the transparency and the answer. I have another question for the both of you. Uh, Kristen wants to know, how can you leverage your LinkedIn profile to help you with transitioning to a different career field?
Oh, you want me to start this one, Ro?
Yeah.
Man, having LinkedIn is probably going to make this whole process so much easier, to be honest, because it allows you to have that explanation. And the about section that's just below the top part of the profile is your opportunity to have, essentially your elevator pitch. Talk to people and talk to your audience about where it is that you came from, where it is that you're going, and what your aspirations and goals are, to be very clear. Your story, your profile, your brand should kind of emulate that, right? But your about section really gives you the opportunity to talk about that. Why is it that you made that change? What inspired you to do that? Why is it that you want to do that? And what are the goals, and how could someone potentially help you? Or how could you potentially help someone else, right? When we're speaking about empowerment and kind of taking that foot out there to push other people, that is an excellent opportunity to start leveraging that.
Great. Ro, do you have anything you want to add to that, or do you want me to keep running through? These questions are coming. It's rapid fire questions. So I just want you guys to know I got plenty of them coming.
Yeah, as if I could put a bow on it, I would just continue to emphasize that we do have other elements within the LinkedIn platform, like LinkedIn Learning, that can help you develop some of those skills. You can actually take those completed certifications, add them to your network. This is extremely useful, especially for folks who are like transitioning out of the military into a civilian workspace, moms who are returning back to work. Family members or folks that you know within the neighborhood who may be transitioning from an extended amount of time away from work. So continue to leverage the tools that are already built within the platform and bring them into your profile. That can absolutely help you out.
Excellent.
But also, sorry to interrupt you, but don't forget too that there are more resources just beyond even creating out your brand and things like that. We've got a ton of LinkedIn learning courses. Ro, you reminded me. I was prior Air Force, and when I got out of the Air Force, my security forces experience was incredibly difficult for me to translate into civilian speak to help people understand what it was that I did. Besides saying military police, there was much more to that. So we have courses that help really with figuring out how to have those conversations and how to put it in your about section, or even leveraging other articles from other people who have been through the same thing.
Yeah. So folks can visit opportunity.linkedin.com for a little bit more information on that.
Opportunity.linkedin.com. I'm sure that will be actually is dropped into the chat. Appreciate that. We got people behind the scenes here at the Digital Career Success Series doing the work. So listen, I want to ask a question that was offered up from Jessica. She wants to know, how important are recommendations from other folks and endorsements?
I'll start. Recommendations are just as important as your old school referral. When you would reach out to a former employer, manager, supervisor, what have you, say, hey, can you write me a letter about my performance, how well I did, how enjoyable it was for you to work with me. Those type of elements are extremely important within your LinkedIn profile. You can request that you receive a referral. You can specify who you want that referral to come from. It's actually on our platform called a recommendation. So you can request that recommendation from anyone within LinkedIn. You have the opportunity to view it before you even post it. And if you decide that you don't need to have it visible at a particular time, you can hide that or re-enable it at any given time. Extremely important. While you answer that question, I'm going to dig up some stats so I can kind of nail it home, Amber.
All right, fair. So when it comes to recommendations, one of the nice things about it so not only is it incredibly important, but it's also very easy for you to be able to do that. The way that recommendations work is we do give you the template, right? Hey, Ro, can you write me a recommendation? But it goes well beyond that, where it really gives you the opportunity to kind of craft it yourself, right? So we go back to that. Everybody's being pulled in different directions. You can essentially say, I could send to Ro and say, hey, Ro, I know you're super busy. So I went ahead and took the opportunity to write about how awesome I was at XYZ that you probably don't remember because it wasn't for you, right? And it was for me. So here's a recommendation. Feel free to tweak it. And that way you can put it on your profile, which then helps to add to your credibility. It also has it's a really good way of letting others know what it's like to work with you. You know, I have one particular recommendation that I think of on my profile when I had a coworker who actually wrote it as Amber, the most amazing woman in the world. And it says things like her business card simply says, she'll call you. But the whole thing is written like that. And although it was sent in jest, I actually kept it on my profile. Why? Because it goes with my brand. Every single piece of the profile, every extension of it goes back to your brand and what it is that you're trying to do on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. So I have another question. What are some key questions? So here's the thing. People are starting to internalize kind of how they show up on LinkedIn, right? So what are some key questions we can ask ourselves to really hone in on building an authentic professional brand?
We can get philosophical if you'd like.
Let's do it.
No, the truth of the matter is one of the first things is that I'd ask is, you know, how do I want to show up? What should I be sharing? Right. I personally don't do a great job of tooting my own horn. There's an opportunity for me to speak to some of my accomplishments through the platform. So I just kind of start there to give you some ideas. You know, what else do I want to share? These particular roles that I've served in, what type of duties and responsibilities did I bring to the table? Ultimately, I want to help to illustrate a story for whoever visits my page to get a sense of me personally, like who am I in real life, as well as what type of person would I be like to work with. So you can kind of start from there and build your tree of decisions to determine what your next step would be in terms of me sharing this and sharing that. Hey, Amber, did you want to add to that?
I would say start off with asking what your goal is. Are you trying to look for a job? Are you trying to set yourself up as an expert? Are you just there to showcase your brand? Are you not sure? That's okay too. It's at least a starting point. And then more importantly is once you figured out what that goal is, if it is to set yourself up as an expert, then who is your audience? Not everybody's going to be your audience, right? And so your profile, you know, those things will kind of fall in line that once you figure out who your audience is, then your profile is going to kind of be catered, and the work that you do, the activity that you do, whether it's in groups, whether it's posts, whether it's articles, are going to be geared towards that audience. It's going to make it a lot easier instead of kind of running in different directions thinking, I think I want to go this way, but no, maybe I want to go this way. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to pivot. It totally is, but you have to start somewhere, right? And if it's setting yourself up as an expert right now, and then eventually maybe, you know, maybe I have goals to go into a completely different career field, then I'm going to spin it. So back to our point, it's a living, breathing document as a whole for LinkedIn. These are the questions that you constantly want to revisit. And it's okay to revisit them frequently because as we know, things change. You know, when I used to have hair, my hair color used to change almost every month because I got bored really easily. Things change very quickly. So your profile, LinkedIn, and your activity there should change with it.
You know, speaking of things changing, I'm trying to measure the temperature in the Q&A, right? So COVID-19 is upon us. People are really reflecting on their career paths and their career journeys. A lot of people are pursuing entrepreneurship. Sometimes that means they kind of place their foot into the gig economy to kind of leverage some different skill sets within their professional life. So if you're a small business owner, but you work a regular 9 to 5, but you want to focus on the small business, should you remove all reference to the actual 9 to 5, or should you find a way to kind of mold both career experiences into one profile? This is from Rhoda, by the way.
That's a great question. I have two minds on this, and I'll go with my first instinct, and that is to again be yourself. Like, what type of information do you want to share with the platform? Right. I think we can all relate, especially right now, with the fact that folks are in some cases working 2 and 3 jobs, right? And then trying to juggle their up and coming business on the side. There's no problem with sharing that with the network. Like, you can actually hold multiple positions and express that through the platform, through your profile. So on the one hand, while you're speaking to your up and coming business and that's your focus, in the background, when I visit your profile, I might see that you are CEO or LLC owner or sole proprietor of XYZ business, while at the same time during the same period there is a job that you're actively working. And if it's a short-term job that you don't feel comfortable sharing, exclude it until you do feel comfortable including that on your profile if you choose to do so. There's some flexibility there.
Definitely. All right, so we do no ducking of questions here on the Digital Career Success Series platform. So this is a tough question, but I'm going to put it out here. It's from Tracy. So Tracy reports that she or he has been engaged on LinkedIn from the beginning, but when they reached out to anyone who does not look like them, they hit dead air and no continuation of connection or knowledge of their firm. What are your thoughts? We have amazing contributors of color, but their following is minimal. Help me see a different perspective. You know, so just on the platform alone, that hasn't been my experience. And I work LinkedIn daily. I'm constantly on LinkedIn. I'm a power user to the platform. I share. It's the nature of the business we do. Sure, I've reached out to some people and they haven't been receptive, but they've been of all hues. And they've been, it just happens sometimes that way. Maybe there's not a unique connection that the person feels is of value to them. And I have to respect that, right?
Yep.
But, I also have to respect Tracy's experience on the platform. And I want to say that if you're reaching out to people, I think Amber had made mention of this earlier, you do have to not just send the general connection, kind of explain it through on why you're reaching out to connect. And hopefully that connection is a way that you can add value, not that you're asking of something from that person that you're reaching out to connect. You guys can kind of, jump on that, or we can move on, but I want you guys to kind of be part of that conversation.
Yeah. You are.
Hi, Ro. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think, Ken, you hit the nail on the head. It's it's the fact that you have something to offer, right? That's key, right? You have to present an authentic ask when you're reaching out to connect with someone, right? It's too easy to ignore the blanket or the empty request to connect, right? Explain why, and there are some things that are happening within the platform that will help to amplify some of the Black voices. We do have a feature that helps to kind of put a lot of our content front and center to help with the distribution as far as increasing visibility. So that's another aspect of it. Amber, I imagine that you've got a different angle that you want to address, but I'll just close this off by saying, make sure that you're leveraging those referrals that we talked about, or those recommendations. Like it's much easier for me to connect with someone I don't know when there is someone in between, like 2 or 3 degrees of separation, where I know that you worked with this person, or you have a connection that we have in common. That is extremely helpful. If I can go to your profile, see some recommendations where people are speaking to your skill set or a particular area of expertise, that's aligned with mine, so I'm more inclined to connect with you.
Yeah, the other thing I will say, and I echo everything that Ro has said, but when we think about it, forums like these are really incredibly vital to getting our people on the platform, right? And then the other part to that too is sometimes it does come down to basics. For a majority of my career, for example, I taught my career here at LinkedIn, I taught recruiters how to use LinkedIn to recruit passive talent. And, I often hear, I'm not getting any responses to anything that I'm sending. Why is this happening? Nobody's reading my emails. And then when you kind of boil down and you take a look at it, it was the email that was a very canned sort of response. And also, I'm not saying this, that's what's wrong with your emails. I just know that this is something that I've seen before, that the way that you're approaching the message could also be part of it as well, right? It is ideally supposed to be having a conversation because it is a trusted source. It's not a matter of copying and pasting some text into a message and sending it out to people and expecting a response, because we are being pulled in different directions. And sometimes less is more. How much content is going into that message that you're sending, right? If you think about it, when we receive a message or an email, right? How many of us have received an email that is super long and you look at it and you're like, cool, I'm going to read like 2 seconds and then I'm very busy, right? And then maybe I'll come back to it. So same sort of thought process when it comes to emails and messages is that you have to be mindful to how many directions people are being pulled in and get to the core of your authentic ask to make sure that you're prompting people to actually want to respond. And then back to the profile. Is your profile robust? Have you done the work? Have you done the pre-work that it takes for your profile to stand out and actually speak to what it is that you are currently doing with your brand? So that way, when they look at your email and they go to your profile, because that's the connector piece, they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. This is somebody that I want to reach out to because I could potentially do business or I have some sort of network with this person.
All right, don't think that the whole training recruiters on how to recruit passive candidates went by me. I'll be connecting with you soon, right? That's what we do over here. All right, I want to jump in on this. I've seen 3 questions about this. Can you guys speak to the benefit of LinkedIn Premium versus non-premium, understanding that a lot of people don't have the financial resources to invest in LinkedIn Premium?
Okay, I'll start, and you close this off for me, Amber. So I would first throw this out there that LinkedIn partners with a ton of nonprofits across the states. There could be an opportunity for you who may not have the means to leverage the platform from a I guess promotional standpoint. We have a way to create it. Essentially, get you a free subscription for a short amount of time so you can utilize some of the additional features within the platform. We do that specifically through nonprofits who work with job readiness programs and underserved communities. So if you're one of those people in one of those areas, please reach out. If you do have some additional questions, I'll be happy to help provide some guidance there. I know you'll speak to some of the features, Amber, but one feature in particular is the LinkedIn Learning platform, where there are over 200 courses available for you as a premium member to leverage to help you continue to develop skills. It could be something as simple as learning how to use Excel, Microsoft Excel within an hour, or it could be an 8-hour course where you're learning how to leverage your executive presence and you're going through different modules within that learning course to kind of really fine tune and hone in your skill set. So, I mean, those are just a couple of things that come to mind, but there are so many others.
I would also add, having premium does have quite a bit more stats and insights. It's basically one of those things where is the work, and it's really all the work that I'm investing into this in every direction, proving to be valuable, right? But because times are hard and not everybody may be able to afford it, one of the things to remember is that most of the features that we've even talked about just today, recommendations, groups, publishing posts, following company pages from a small business perspective, are free options that are available to everyone. It does take work, obviously, with anything that you do on LinkedIn, but it's well worth it.
Well worth it indeed. Listen, all right, so this is a question. There's a simple answer to this question, but I want you guys to kind of take a dive. All right, what do you do when people reach out to you who you do not want to add to your LinkedIn connections? They're just not a good match. They're selling something and they have no photo. So the simple answer is, right, just don't connect with them.
I get made fun of a lot for this one. I feel like, so one of my previous coworkers who connected with a lot of people, and I'm incredibly strict about my network. I will very much be the first person to tell you to push back. And here's why, right? If you take the time to send me an email or an invitation to connect, and it's not personalized, or it's a very long message, or I read the 2 seconds and I was over it, I'll respond and say something like, hey, not sure I recognize the name, the face. Well, if there's no face, you don't have a photo, so I can't recognize the face, right? But that's also how I would talk normally, and then ask why do you want to connect, or give me more information. And beg that conversation. I don't want to say beg that conversation, but like force that conversation out of them. And to me, the way that I look at it is, if Rose sent me an invitation, for example, that was not personalized, and I responded and said, hey, cool, tell me why though, and he never responded, then he kind of answered that for me. Like, that is something that I don't need to foster, right? But if he takes the time to then respond and actually send me a message back to say, hey, this, and this, and this, the likelihood that I will then start to create that relationship with him and actually go from that point is much more likely than had he not responded at all. So it almost like puts the ball back in their court to take some ownership and do more.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Amber. Very much the same approach or similar. I don't want to block my blessing. I want to have grace, and I do want to give the person the opportunity to kind of further explain or help me understand how this connection opportunity can benefit both of us, or at least one of us. So having that, taking the that 5-10 seconds to respond, a quick follow up. Is extremely useful. One thing that we've done internally is called a +1 pledge. So if you guys look for a hashtag called 1+ pledge, you can get a little bit more information about an internal activity that we've decided to take advantage of, which is include someone from your network who is not traditionally a part of your network. And this kind of speaks to the fact that there are a lot of people on the platform who do not have connections in high places, right? But it helps to start to bridge that gap to where a up and coming kid from DC who is looking to get ready to make a move to California can connect with a potential hiring manager in a technology field and start to establish a relationship, this connection through LinkedIn platform by exchanging, just a bit of thought leadership across the platform to encourage that engagement. But without taking the chance to find out who this person is or including them in your network, you may miss a ton of solid opportunities.
But also at the end of that too, just like you said, Ken, you can ignore it. You have the option of ignoring it. This is your network. It's not Rose's network. It's not your network, Ken. It's my network. And so therefore, in order for it to work for me, going back to those questions, what's my end goal? Does this go in line with those goals that I'm trying to achieve? If not, you don't owe anybody a response.
I host a radio show out in Philly called the Career Seekers Show. We branded it as your only source for career and job search information with a focus on diversity. Shout out to everybody out in Philly. But my two co-hosts, they will not accept any LinkedIn invites from individuals without pictures or if you don't customize the invite. But to your point, Amber, it's their network. They can do whatever they choose to do, right? So keep that in mind. All right. And here's another thing, and this kind of goes into this because Andrea wants to know what's the difference between following someone versus connecting with someone.
Hey, Amber, you got this one?
Okay, I can do it. Andrea, great question. It's funny because the immediate thought process that went in there is less commitment. Following versus connecting with someone, right? Because connecting to someone, right? Just saying, there was a number of years that I actually prided myself, believe it or not, and I can't believe I'm sharing this with everyone, but I wanted to keep my number of connections under 500. I really wanted to ensure that I was nurturing and taking care of my network, but I still kind of sometimes wanted to follow some people who I thought had insightful things to talk about, whether it was publishing posts, whether it was what they were sharing, but not actually have that and go through with that. And that's the main difference, is that when you follow someone, you're still getting all of their content, but it also allows you to kind of nurture and keep your network and your connections pretty tight knit, right? So then it's focused to just those people. And then when you're sharing, you don't necessarily have to share to everyone and anyone. Now you have the option of really controlling who you're sharing and what you're sharing to in terms of privacy. Ro, I don't know if you have more to add on that one.
Yeah, no, that was key, where you really have the opportunity to help control some of the communication that you send out. You can include everyone, or you can include just a small group of connections that you've made. So that's probably one key distinction, where you get to kind of control your privacy or your reach through that means as well.
Hey, Ro, they're checking in on the chat, and they want to know, how can they access the data that you spoke about? I think you left a URL, but can you go over that again? You were speaking about data, and they want to find the industries of the people to engage with for their content. So not sure if you have any resources on the platform that you can suggest.
Yeah, maybe this will be a good follow up through email for the folks that attend. That way, I can make sure that I get you guys the right one. The URL that I mentioned earlier was opportunity.linkedin.com. It may not satisfy all the concerns that you have around statistics, but we do have some data that can be shared. So we'll publish that later.
Also, so does LinkedIn provide services to assist with developing a LinkedIn page? This is from SG.
Yeah, one of which I think I mentioned, maybe I'm going for my third time at the very least. I got to mention this 3 times. LinkedIn Learning. Like you can take a short course to help you, better understand how to set up and then manage your company page. Right. That's your, I guess, quickest way or avenue of getting skilled and ready to kind of create and master your company page.
Great. All right, I'm just jumping through the questions here. They are amazing. Tiffany wants to know if you'd like to work for a specific company, are there tactics, strategies that can be used to reach out to that company?
Yes, there are. There's so many. First and foremost, position the profile and your brand. Gonna keep saying it, gonna keep saying it, right? It starts with your brand, but then also start following that company's page. Stay up to date with what's going on with any updates that they're posting, any news that they're posting. Engage in conversation on those updates that the company is posting through their pages, and then start potentially reaching out to people who work at the company. It could be as simple as sending a message or an invitation to connect to say, hey, I'm interested in potentially working at that company or finding more information. Would you be interested in having a Zoom coffee chat where I can ask you some questions about what it's like to work at the company? I've watched XYZ video about the culture of the company and so on and so forth to start that conversation. They usually have groups as well. Most companies have groups out there for people that are interested in potentially working for them or find their alumni as well. There are so many resources. People are posting articles. Find people that have worked for them in the past that you could potentially reach out to and then open up doors to other people. Look at me go. Ro, you have anything? I will step back.
Oh my goodness, you dropped so many gems. I really appreciate it. That was thorough too. So let me try to do a quick recap. Follow the company, engage with employees of that company. Start to do your back end research. I think that's super critical and highly underrated. When you can go to the LinkedIn company page or even the company's website or the company's YouTube page or Instagram page and get a little bit more information about who they are and what they do, you'll be much better positioned to speak to whoever's at that organization about the culture, about the work, about what you might benefit from being a part of the team and what you can bring to the table when you become a part of the team, if you ultimately decide to want to work with that company. So yeah, you dropped quite a few jewels there. Thank you.
All right, so listen to this one here. So can you provide insight on the LinkedIn algorithm in regards to search results for being found by recruiters and then post visibility, first hour engagement, trending, post, etc. So I know there's a lot packaged into that question, but if you can just speak on how to best, I guess, leverage or drive the algorithm for exposure. I think that's really what the question asked is.
Having a full profile.
That's the hack.
Surprise, I know that I would say starts with your brand, but having a robust profile that includes, specific keywords, SEO words that'll be picked up, right? Things like that. While we can't actually talk about the specifics in terms of algorithms and things like that, more is what you're going for here, right? You're about 27 times more likely to be noticed if you have skills. So actually, we didn't touch on the endorsements portion, but for those of you, believe it or not, I sometimes find I'm at a loss for words when it comes to describing my work and what it is that I do. And so I use and I leverage the skills and endorsement section on LinkedIn to then list out those skills that I have and then have my connections in turn endorse me for those skills, right? Who can then speak to it. The other part is also actively making sure that you're active. It's not just a matter of having a profile and then you just kind of walk away and you're like, cool, I'm done. Let all the people come to me. It doesn't work like that. It's setting that foundational structure to then position yourself to be able to start sharing news articles, to start sharing relevant content. And it's not just, if you think about all of the other feeds on social media sites, why is it that you typically just scroll through? it's usually because people are not adding additional context to what it is that they're sharing, right? An interesting article, a video, a thought, or anything like that. So instead of just sharing a video, for example, or an article, share an interesting quote. Tell me why that person needs to read that article and why it drew you into the article, which then kind of positions you higher. The more likes, the more people that you're engaging with conversation, the higher it'll bump up there.
Yeah, I'll add that, you know, the platform is designed in such a way that you can kind of gamify how you approach the search optimization engine that will help to amplify your signal to recruiters and other folks that are looking for you. So one thing I wanted to add was how you can embed some of the work that you've done. If you are into photography, you know, take a few photos, add it into your profile. If you have a podcast, you know, put a clip of your video in the profile. If you're in project management or architecture or engineering, share some of the plans or ideas that you've brought to the table, maybe a white paper that you've written. You can embed that into your profile. Those are some of the tips that can help you hack the algorithm searching.
One of the other things about that too that I don't think we give enough love to is publishing posts. Admittedly, I've never been good at it, right? But if I'm going to, and when I say I never been good at it, I wasn't doing it. But now that I'm, you know, for many years now, I've been doing Rock Your Profile and teaching people how to like build out their brand and how to use LinkedIn. That in itself, the amount of visibility that you get with publishing posts to write articles on any sort of topic that you could possibly even think of. And again, it's not the sort of thing where you overthink. And you're like, I don't have anything to talk about. I'm not kidding you. The first article that I wrote was about garage sailing in Omaha and how I was frustrated that nobody had the things that I felt needed to get me to their garage sale. So it was titled something like 5 tips to get me to come to your garage sale. No joke. And the amount of
super popular
conversation that came from that, the people that I met, and then, you know, flash forward several years when I went to graduate. I was one of 3 people that were up to do the commencement speech at my graduation, you know, and I spent a lot of time writing this speech. I ultimately didn't get selected, but then I thought, I spent a lot of time on this. What do I do with it? You know, I didn't want to post it to other places because I didn't think people would read it or understand, you know, the truth, the heart that was coming from the speech. So what did I do? I shared it as a publishing post. It pushes your content out there. It gets you more visible. Likes, the virality is incredible.
Wow. You know, you guys were great. This is, so as I mentioned, even in the run of show, I knew we were going to get a ton of questions. I think you guys did an amazing job of answering the questions and presenting the LinkedIn platform in its real essence. So thank you so very much on behalf of the National Urban League, the Urban League Jobs Network, myself, Wanda Jackson, Theveline Felix, and the rest of the team at NUL. You guys were amazing today. I really appreciate it. And behind the scenes, Jackie, we saw you. We appreciate you as well. Listen, what I'd like to just say is, you know, the key to LinkedIn, I honestly believe, is just leveraging the platform and connecting through. I think it's an amazing platform for people to really kind of advance their career and find some professional development content that will support them and assist them moving forward. And I think you guys did a great job today of presenting that. So I thank and salute you for helping us out today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, well, listen, we did it again. It's the Digital Career Success Series. I want to let you guys know that on September 16th, you can join us. We'll kick it off with a panel discussion moderated by myself that includes Deanne Green of ADP, Lauren Wesley Wilson of Colorcom Media Group, and business leader and philanthropist, Belisha Butterfield Jones. It's the National Urban League's virtual career and networking fair. It's part of the Urban League Fights for You campaign, which is a national advocacy campaign to combat COVID and restore our most hard-hitting communities. This is what we do, man. We're just out here to support job seekers, and all that we do is bring this to you every other Wednesday. Oh, speaking of events that are coming up, myself, I'll be hosting on the Grow with Google On Air platform, the Tap Into Your Job Search Network. So please register to check us out. It's Google on demand. So learn how to network virtually to land your next job. That'll take place Monday, September 14th, 3 p.m. Eastern. And we'll do that on the Grow with Google platform. We'll share information on how you can register for that on our social media feeds. But we just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We really appreciate you. And again, thank you to the team from LinkedIn. You guys were amazing. Looking forward to doing things in the future with you as well. Thank you. And last but not least, thank you to the listeners. You guys had great questions today. We really appreciate you guys checking in. We had an unbelievable turnout, and we just want to say thanks. I appreciate it. See you in 2 weeks.